The more they studied the ship's architecture, the clearer it became that the Ocean Star contained a network of hidden or rarely monitored pathways. Certain hallways connected directly to supply zones, engine compartments, and staff break rooms. These areas had limited camera coverage, leaving large portions of the ship nearly invisible. Anyone familiar with these sections could move without attracting attention. Officers mapped out the route Maya took, comparing it to the known layout. The path led toward a dead-end corner with a single door that opened to a maintenance platform on the outer side of the ship. It was a dangerous place for a passenger to wander, especially at night. The backup footage ended before showing whether Maya reached the door or turned back. That missing piece pushed investigators to search every blind spot, crawl space, and equipment room nearby. The deeper they looked, the more it felt like someone had guided her into an area where no one should have been able to follow her unnoticed. 3 days into the investigation, the search effort expanded beyond the ship's interior. The crew had reported unusual readings from sensors mounted beneath the hull, which sometimes detected drifting debris or loose equipment. Most of the time, these alerts meant nothing, but investigators insisted the divers check every signal. The water surrounding the Ocean Star was deep and cold, with strong currents that could pull objects far from their original location. Despite the difficulty, the divers prepared to explore the lower structure of the vessel. Hours passed with little progress. The divers examined metal supports, emergency ladders, and the underside of balconies. Then one of them noticed a shape caught against a narrow beam protruding from the ship's lower frame. At first, it looked like fabric tangled in the current, but as they swam closer, the outline became unmistakable. They signaled urgently to the surface. When the object was brought aboard and placed on the recovery platform, the ship fell into a heavy, eerie silence. Maya had been found. Her discovery answered one question, but opened many more. The condition of her body did not match the theories investigators had been considering. There were no signs indicating a fall from a great height. Her injuries did not match the impact expected from dropping off the upper deck. Even stranger, her clothing was still relatively intact and showed no evidence of a violent struggle. It appeared she had entered the water from a lower point, close to the ship's exterior edge, rather than falling or being forced overboard. This detail forced the investigation to shift focus. If Maya had entered the water near the lower structure of the ship, she would have needed access to a small emergency door used only by staff. The door was rarely touched during passenger voyages. When checked, investigators discovered that the alarm system tied to the door had been disabled on the night of her disappearance. The mechanism showed signs of manual interference, not mechanical failure. Someone had turned it off intentionally. Fingerprint testing revealed faint traces of touch along the door and its handle. Some belonged to Maya, consistent with her possibly pushing it open, but other prints were found underneath, older and harder to identify. They matched a crew member who had previously denied entering the area that night. His explanation became the center of questioning, but the investigators still lacked clear evidence linking him directly to her death. The ship's passengers grew restless as news slowly spread. Every detail released to the public twisted the atmosphere further, turning the elegant cruise into a place overshadowed by unanswered questions and a heartbreak that deepened with every discovery. The medical team worked carefully, examining every detail to determine how Maya died. After hours of analysis, they released their conclusion. Her cause of death was accidental drowning. There were no broken bones, no defensive marks, and no indications of a violent encounter. The findings seemed straightforward on the surface, yet the circumstances surrounding how she ended up in the water remained far from simple. The absence of physical injuries did not explain why she had accessed a restricted area or how she reached the lower edge of the ship unnoticed. Investigators reconstructed the timeline using all available evidence. Maya had walked into an employees-only corridor shortly after sunset. The path she followed led directly toward the emergency exit, whose alarm had been manually disabled. The fingerprints found on the door confirmed she had touched it shortly before entering the water. What remained unclear was whether she had pushed it open out of curiosity, confusion, or because she believed it led somewhere safe. The ocean, outside that door, was only a small step away, with nothing but a narrow platform separating a person from the dark waves below. Attention turned toward the maintenance worker whose fingerprints had also been found on the door. He eventually admitted he had disabled the alarm earlier that evening. His reason was simple but troubling. The system had been giving false alerts for weeks, and he wanted to stop the noise during his shift. He insisted he had not seen Maya or anyone near the door that night, describing the situation as a tragic coincidence. Though his decision created the conditions for the accident, there was still no direct evidence connecting him to her movements or suggesting he followed her. Investigators concluded that Maya likely entered the corridor out of curiosity or exploration. The emergency door, normally locked and loud with alarms, would have remained closed if the security system had been functioning. But with the alarm disabled and the latch loose, it might have swung open easily when she touched it. Once she stepped outside, the darkness, uneven flooring, and powerful ocean wind could have disoriented her. A small slip would have been enough for her to fall into the water without anyone hearing. The final report labeled her death as accidental, but emphasized the ship's negligence. The cruise line faced strict penalties, mandatory safety upgrades, and intense public criticism. Families across the world heard Maya's story, and her tragedy influenced new regulations requiring better monitoring, functioning alarms, and stricter access control on all major cruise ships. Her loss reshaped the industry, serving as a painful reminder that one overlooked system failure can turn an ordinary moment into an irreversible disaster.